Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's second match. So we have Regen Blue versus Wholesome Halfwits, a battle in Div B West.
Yeah, long time no see. It's been a while. I've been waiting so long, ready for some HOTS action here, and we're finally gonna get it. It's been a whole 15 minutes since our interview in the last series ended, and just hungry for more.
Yeah, hopefully this one can go the distance like the last one, as even though Map 3 wasn't that close, it was still a very close series, and so this one should be able to live up to the hype. Can you explain, Jax, some of the playoff implications of this match?
Yeah, so there are less than you might expect, actually, but there still are some important ones. So we've got on the side of Wholesome Halfwits, they're currently sitting in 20th, sorry, second with 20 points. That's an important distinction. And they are eliminated from taking first place. Virtual Murky Slayers have already locked up that #1 seed. So they won't be able to steal that. But they do want a win here as Reborn Knights Red are right on their tail. They did win the head-to-head matchup versus Reborn Knights Red earlier this season. So what that means for them is that since they are currently, I believe, just 1 point ahead in the standings, they will need a win of any kind here tonight in order to guarantee them that #2 spot. Regen Blue, meanwhile, currently sitting in the #7 spot, tied in points with Arrogant Nephilim, but Arrogant Nephilim beat them earlier. If they win here, they would put some space between themselves and Arrogant Nephilim, although I have heard uh, rumors from the people in the know that Arrogant Nephilim actually may be getting a forfeit win against Off-Brand Serial, which would give them the 3-point domination and mean that Regen Blue would be locked into that 8th seed. Regardless, Off-Brand Serial does still have 2 matches left. Sorry, Arrogant Nephilim has 2 matches left to make up that point differential of whatever Regen Blue is able to pick up here. So they may be stuck in that 8th slot regardless, but if nothing else, they would be playing for pride. But Wholesome Halfwits really could use this win. They certainly want that #2 seed instead of falling down to #3, because every position matters as you head into the playoffs.
Yeah, and when we look to the maps for this match specifically, we see that Regen Blue ended up banning out Volskaya Foundry. Wholesome Halfwits banned out Sky Temple, one that Arrow was talking about last match that people just don't generally like to go to, and ended up picking Infernal Shrines, a favorite of many teams in NGS. So here we are for game #1 on Infernal.
Yep, and we're going to head into the draft here, as we will see what our teams have in store for us. Should be a fun one as we head into game #1. First pick being held by Regen Blue, and it will be interesting to see what they go for here. I do have the hero's profile stats pulled up, so if any shady looking bans come out, I will go check the stats for you, but nothing shady about that. Ana very good in the current meta, and so they're just going to take her right off the table.
Yeah, I'm a shameless Ana one trick, and I'll tell you, Ana is first pick material, you support players out there. She can honestly carry a game, and you force for an enemy team to have to pick someone to respond to her by putting pressure like a Maya or Zeratul. Meanwhile, Diablo, very strong, especially on Inferno Shrines, because of how many walls there are in between the rotations, between both mid and bot, especially, but also between mid and top.
Yep. I mean, Diablo, those wall bangs are so deadly, and also just scary in general. We see the Kael'thas being banned out, and we are in Div B, so we're in a little higher division than you sometimes would see Kael'thas banned in. But Infernal Shrines, he does have very good Shrine Clear if he's able to set up, and the Anubarak ban coming out from Wholesome Halfwits, attempting to choke out the main tank pool here, and now we will get to see Regen Blue. What are they going to prioritize here? It will be interesting to see. There's a whole lot of good picks still left on the table.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think maybe look for a Johanna or Garrosh here. No, they're instead going to go for Sylvanas, who after a rework is able to do a ton of damage both in team fights now, as well as being able to provide, like she did before the rework, a lot of value during your push, especially if you're able to win that objective. So it's going to be very imperative for Wholesome Halfwits that they are able to win early objectives to make sure it doesn't snowball out of hand.
And we do see the Hanzo Tyrande being picked up here from the side of Wholesome Halfwits. That's a nice combo. Hanzo's still quite good. He's not a completely oppressive that he was at some point in the past, but still a good, a strong assassin in general. We'll pick him up here. And Tyrande, one of the better healers in the game right now. We see the ETC and the Blaze coming out from the side of Regen Blue. We actually just saw Regen Red play the ETC in our last series, and so now Regen Blue following in the footsteps of their friends in the organization and going to pick up ETC for themselves. And actually, with ETC and Blaze, you could theoretically see either one of those be the main tank and either one be the offlaner. It's more traditional to see the ETC as the main tank and the Blaze as the offlaner, but if they really want to surprise us and catch the other team off guard, they could switch it up. It will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I actually am kind of leaning towards ETC in the off lane, just because already there's 2 strong interrupts to Mosh Pit, so he's very likely going to have to be taking stage dive anyways. Meanwhile, I hope Blaze is taking Bunker Drop, because Bunker Drop is able to do so much, both controlling of the point and just straight out damage to the minions in order to finish them off. You can kind of pop it like Alex Strauss at Dragon Queen. Meanwhile, Dahaka being banned out here, although it's a smaller map, Dahaka is still able to get some value just rotating with Brush Shocker between lanes.
Yeah, I mean, Dahaka can get value just about anywhere. I mean, you don't necessarily want to pick him on some of the smaller maps like Tomb or Braxis, but can always be good. They will pick up the Rexar as the offlaner here. Wholesome Halfwits will, and Rexar, I mean, it's been long enough since he was buffed that probably everyone's sick of hearing it, and I don't have to say it again, but I will anyway. So Rexar, with his recent buffs, now quite strong and able to be played in a lot of circumstances. Inferno Shrine's not his absolute best map, but he is still quite good. Definitely worth playing in certain circumstances. They're going to pick him up here, and we see the Lucio Lunara, and so again, picking up where Regen Red left off in our earlier series, throwing that Lunara into the mix, and I think there might be a reason that these Regen teams are under the same organization.
Yeah, and then finally a nice strong Johanna to round out the comp on Wholesome Halfwits. The thing that I like though with Lucio Lunara is that already Lunara has some strong base speed, well, higher base speed, and so you're able to really make sure that she stays out of range of any potential CCs, especially because Johanna is only going to have that Blessed Shield that you have to really be careful of, and Misha, of course. So Lunara should be able to dance around and not be threatened too much this game.
Yep, that's true, and it is key to make sure you don't let that Lunara run rampant on your backline if you are Wholesome Halfwits here. It'll be interesting to see how Regen Blue plays with that Lunara, because if she's able to get some value, that could be a huge pickup that could help them turn the tides in their favor. Be interesting to see. I think I would have to say I slightly prefer the comp of Wholesome Halfwits here, but it's kind of hard to choose because I can see the pros and cons of each side, but just stick that Rexar off in the off lane. You've got 2 strong assassins, a strong healer, and a strong tank. I think I'm going to give them the edge.
Well, here we go. Game number 1. Representing the Regen and Div B will be Regen Blue on the blue color, with Jason on the Sylvanas, Krinovast on the Lucio, Larson on the Lunara, Mongoose on ETC, and Grendel on Blaze.
And on the red side, Wholesome Half got Crooked Smile playing Hanzo, Dr. Kchelli on the Johanna, Freckle Pants on Tyrande, G Money Drums on Rexar, and Neutrons on Raynor. Here we go, game number 1.
Yeah, it will be Laza Hope being picked up there by Johanna at level 1 in order to provide a little bit more healing, along with Ace in the hole. Very notable pickups. Other than that, pretty standard pickups. It will actually be the Toxin. I believe that's Nature's Toxin don't know Lunara's talents by name, instead of the Wisp talent. And both teams, though, Blaze already peeled off top in order to get a little bit of advantage soak-wise there. So Regen Blue's going to be content to kind of sit back here, but Larson already doing a lot of damage there onto Crooked Smile and Neutron. It's going to force for them to back up. Meanwhile, Crooked Smile is Q-build here as the Shrine kind of denies getting a ton of value out of his Scatter build. So look for the stacks that he's able to get early game.
Yep, like you said, Lunara taking... Oh, and Lucio getting caught out there in the bot lane. Not a good rotation, but Lunara taking Nature's Toxin reveals enemies. And Blaze actually taking the Neural Stim Pack will be interesting to keep an eye on. Not going for the old habits, so he will not have an Unstoppable.
Yeah, we saw Lucio there. He just took a little bit too much damage while on the wall, and then because of that, he had to retreat through the open area, where he's a lot slower now after the rework. So they were able to exploit that, and nice stun by Freckle Pants was able to confirm the kill.
That Wisp from Regen Blue will sniff out the camp take by Wholesome Halfwits. Not going to be able to do anything off it. UTC actually at Mongoose taking a good bit of damage here, falling very low. I mean, he'll be fine, he'll be able to back out, but it's a little scary, and looks like Wholesome Halfwits actually are going to invade the camp here. And Regen Blue's just going to go ahead and give it as they're low, especially that Lunara needs to be very careful, will back out. So the camp will be stolen by Wholesome Halfwits. They pick up both of these siege camps here in the mid lane. Might turn their attention on bot or onto Mongoose if he steps too far up. Just gonna force him to back up here.
Yeah, this is a very nice job early game by Wholesome Halfwits in order to just control the area in between bot and mid in order to get a nice early push advantage and make sure that they're not able to get Sylvanas value on the side of Regen Blue.
Yep, we do see that bottom camp now being picked up by Wholesome Halfwits. They're gonna pick up all three siege camps here on the bottom half of the map. We see Lunara's Wisp sitting in the bush near mid lane, and level 4 is being picked up by both sides. And now we will see our first Shrine of the game activating in the mid lane here very shortly. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes. And we do see Sylvanas stashing out in the mid lane, will tap, will not back. It means Sylvanas will not have tap in this upcoming fight. Needs to be a little wary of that, especially with the mana bar. We see the back by Hanzo to get his mana bar back up to full. We'll be coming back in, and right now a strong wave clear advantage for Wholesome Halfwits means they should have some good early clear on this shrine before Regen Blue is able to engage.
Trunks has to be a little bit careful there. Rexar is still taking that camp. Meanwhile, all 5 members here for Regen Blue, but they're content to just poke out here. I don't know if they know that Rexar is here. Hey, here we go, a nice stun onto Grendo. On the meanwhile, while Hanzo was trying to use his trait, Crooked Smile in a lot of trouble. A lot of healing though come out from Freckle Pants, and they actually will be able to turn onto the Blaze. Dr. Jelly though also went pretty low in that fight, but with that pick, they were going to be able to go in here, and they're actually looking for more. Jason in trouble, will end up going down. Nice shot by Dr. Jelly, and Larson will go down as well. A nice axe there by G Money, and that will allow for the first shrine to be picked up here by Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't know that the Rexar wasn't there. They didn't know that they had the 5v4. They didn't engage at first. And then they started to step up, and they stepped up just a little too far, and then they got the fight went in favor of Wholesome Halfwits, especially with Rexar being able to rotate in. Johanna will now have to back out of mana and not doing fantastically on health. But this first Punisher will go over to Wholesome Halfwits, and once they decide to take it, they're just going to give their members some time to tap and heal up a little bit before they take it. Regen Blue going to use this time to go ahead and pick up their Bruiser camp right now. And so now that all of Wholesome Halfwits is healed up a little bit and regrouped, they're going to go ahead and take that Shrine, take that first Punisher. It will be pushing out mid lane. It is a Mortar Punisher, and we do see now the Bruiser camp being picked up by Regen Blue to give them some offlane pressure while this Mortar Punisher is pushing.
Yep. Punisher leaps onto Mongoose on the ETC. He will be able to get away there, as now the attention turns onto the fort. Already the gate went down pretty quickly there as the camps mid were able to do a ton of damage already. And it looks like this fort will be going down on the side of Regen Blue. So a good start for Wholesome Halfwits already.
Yep, they did. Got the whole fort off the first Punisher. They didn't even have all there. Top lane, G-Money Drums getting some good value, managing that Bruiser camp and just soak the XP. And so, very strong start for Wholesome Halfwit. getting the fort in a 4v5 is the Mortar Punisher, which is one of the weaker Punishers, probably the weakest of the three in terms of siege damage. And they actually may look to engage. Dr. Sigelli stepping way up, but it's going to be sniffed out. If they can't get here fast, they won't be able to take it, but they actually might be on time. We'll have to
Here we go, Dr. Sigelli going deep. Larson already at half. Jason able to get out. Already staying in. Mongoose very low, trying to slide out. Crooked Smile looking to finish off the kill, will not be able to. Dr. Jelly going in, nice scatter, able to get Lunara on the finish onto Sylvanas as well. So that will be a 2-for-0 trade, and the camp being picked up there by Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, really juicy scatter arrow, getting a lot of damage on both of those squishies and finishing them both off. So now you see two camps and a Rexar pushing down that mid lane. Rexar's just gonna lead. That's something he doesn't have to do anything. And I think Regen Blue kind of has to respond here, otherwise that should get the whole gate. Because there's two Javelin camps and a catapult. Now Kernavas rotating up with Jason and Larson joining him as they respawn. And that Lucio is taking actually quite a bit of damage just from camps. And because they have to respond to that, that bot camp being picked up by Wholesome Halfwits will be able to secure that bot for it as it's being pushed with the 4 members. Rexar getting value by soaking top. They also have a 10 advantage, level 9 not even being picked up yet by Regen Blue. It is right around the corner. Here it is, but they're still a level away from getting even on talent tiers. Might look for an engage here in the mid lane.
Yeah, Larson is in trouble along with the Blessed Shield. That will be enough to finish her off. Now, curiously enough, I want to point out that Hanzo actually took Dragon Strike here, so it should be interesting to see what they plan to do with that in order to probably just lock down and just zone out from the shrines. But they are going to actually continue to push in as the siege camp is full health and with the Hyperion being committed as well. Looking to maybe confirm this gate ahead of the next shrine. Able to get 1 tower down, and they still have ults too. They were only used the Blessed Shield in that last engagement. So a ton of damage. Jason just going to be stacking up off of that Misha, as now Larson taking a lot of damage again. Crooked Smile has been doing very well in order to try to get these Hanzo stacks early. Is sitting at 3 of them complete by getting the 3 heroes hit on those. So he, as you see, he's being able to chunk down the mana, or the health bars of the members of Regen Blue.
Yep, that was a nice push. Unable to get the keep, but they do get the whole keep wall and a little bit of damage onto it. They're looking for the 13 advantage. If they can get it soon, that would allow them to take this Punisher. And Mongoose stepping quite far up here.
Yeah, Mongoose is looking for a dance, but he went pretty low already. They will end up being the heals. Here comes the Dragon Strike. However, Krenavas was the only one who took a ton of damage from that, as now it just allows for Wholesome Halfwits to get an early shrine advantage here, picking up a lot of minions. As now it's Dr. Sigelli kind of going in a little bit too far deep potentially. A nice stun by Grendel, able to get 2 along with the leaps. Not able to confirm any kills, however, as Larson trying to hunt down Freckle Pants will be able to get out. The dance ends up going on to Misha and the Johanna. Johanna will end up going down, but at the trade of Mongoose on the ETC. Now it's Jason looking to see if he can get the kill onto Crooked Smile. Will not be able to. Another charge, able to get 2. Misha goes down. Neutron's very low. Also, Freckle Pants will not be able to get the heals, but Lunar will go down looking to get the kill onto Freckle Pants. Now Grendel still going in even more, but going very low. That might end up being punished here by G-Money, but without Misha not able to really go in too far, as both teams just going to poke now, as it is a 3v3, but already only 5 minions left for Wholesome Halfwits. They will be able to pick up the second Punisher.
Yeah, Wholesome Halfwits, I mean, they didn't really win the trade. It was a pretty even trade, but they kind of won the trade in terms of they now have the 13 advantage. They can now use this time to send Hanzo back to base and Rexar back to base. They got the wave clear advantage because they had the better wave clear on that shrine. With the Skeletal Defender actually interrupting Rexar's back. And Misha looks like she might want to finish the shrine herself. Rexar finally tells her to stop. But yeah, the 13 advantage now being picked up from the side of Wholesome Halfwits. They'll go ahead and pick up a siege camp here in the mid lane just to add some extra pressure. The top Bruiser camp being picked up by Regen Blue to alleviate some of that pressure, but Rexar looks like he's going to go pick up the Bruiser camp for Wholesome Halfwits to trade out, and there is an Arcane Punisher, which is probably the strongest of the 3 Punishers in terms of wave clear. Not sure what Raynor's doing. He's just been pinged by his team, so You might have fallen asleep at the wheel there for a second, but they have an Arcane Punisher pushing a keep, and there's no keep wall for the Punisher to dive behind, so they should be able to get some good push, and they might actually be able to take the whole keep here.
And not only that, they still have 13 advantage. Mongoose, though, able to slide out easily, especially because Neutrons isn't there quite yet, as you noted. This keep is going to be burned down, but some nice damage already going out to Arcane Punisher. It's down to half health with the keep falling down, so I don't believe that Wholesome Halfwits is going to be able to go for core here. So they're just going to smartly back up and try to soak up to 16. Mongoose actually taking a ton of damage from the Arcane Punisher, but we'll be able to get out. Here comes the Rainer ult in mid in order to try to siege down, especially because they have 2 catapults and the siege camp now pushing down. Mongoose looking to see if he can get maybe a dance here. Ends up getting stunned by a nice Blessed Shield, I believe, as Mongoose and Lunara will both go down, along with Lucio. All 3 of them, the nice Rexar flank, able to pick up a couple kills. So this will be a keeping picked up here by Wholesome Halfwits. And Jason has to be careful if he or Blaze goes down. Wholesome Halfwits can start to think about core. But with death timers being so low, I don't know if they look for it yet. No, they will actually start to go for core. The siege damage starting to go down. Dr. Sigelli just trying to zone out Jason and Grendel. Misha ended up being used in order just to try to get as much siege damage as possible. Core down to half health. Might be too little too late for Regen Blue as they look to try to get the engage on the backline. Dr. Sigelli getting zoned out here, taking a lot of damage. Core down to 30%. Dance able to pick up only Misha. That won't be enough. Neutrons just pushing a ton of damage in. Oh, and Rexar feigns death. Misha able to pick up game number 1 for Wholesome Halfwits.
And so, yeah, a nice job by Wholesome Halfwits to back off after they took that bot keep. They didn't even, it was clear they weren't even going to think about going for core there. They did not think they could end. But then they turned their sights on that mid keep, and once they took that down, all of a sudden they've got the huge resource advantage. They had 3 down, even if it was only for a fairly short time, and they were able to turn their attention to that core, burn it down real quickly, and then just end the game and come away with game number 1 in the bag.
As we look at the stats there, we see it was the Hanzo who, I don't believe he completely completed his Q quest, but still was able to put a ton of damage, get some key scatters in the narrow corridors of the map, and just being able to poke out Mongoose. Mongoose just wasn't able to get, I think, the slides he wanted to, just because of how much poke damage the Rainer and Hanzo were able to put onto him. So a nice job by them as being able to pick up game number 1.
Yep. So we will see the Regen Blue is opting to go with the first pick. So we are going to see what Wholesome Halfwits would like to do for this second game, but a strong performance there in game number 1, 12 kills to 3. Rexar feigning death on the core right at the end, so you could end the game with a clean sheet. No deaths by Rexar or Misha in that game. Quite impressive. Actually, I've just realized that is a quirk with the end screen. I believe there was 1 Misha death during that game at least, because I believe I saw a quarter kill at some point.
Yeah, Misha got killed once just because of the Mongoose's dance. But I would like to note that Rexar was able to do a lot of ability. I mean, in team fights was able to do a lot just by getting some flanks in. He was kind of late to a couple fights, but he was able to get some key cleanup and locking down the low backline in order to help confirm some 1 fights for Wholesome Halfwits.
Yep, Rexar ended up getting quite a bit of value, very strong, as we will be going to Cursed Hollow for game number 2. And so it'll be interesting to see what we pick up here. We did see, we saw that Dahaka banned during the 3rd phase, during that first game, or the 2nd ban phase, the 3rd ban. We may see Dahaka banned earlier here, as it is a higher priority on this map, quite a large map. And so it'll be interesting to see what they go with. We did see the Ana, Kael'thas Dahaka, and the Diablo Nuvarak Stukov bans coming out last game. And Diablo, Nubarak, Ana, all very strong heroes regardless of the map. And so I would be unsurprised to see those guys get banned out again. But Kael'thas, I don't know whether that was a comfort pick or whether that is something that they are personally scared of or what. I can actually go ahead and look real quick. Wholesome Halfwits has played 5 games of Kael'thas and has won 3 of them, so doesn't look to be a huge comfort pick. So maybe it was just a map-specific ban. We'll have to see if that comes back out. We've got both teams ready now, so we're gonna head into the draft for game number 2.
There we go. Cursed Hollow, I'm expecting perhaps instead of the Kale ban, we might see Dahaka ban, as you noted. This is his map, I'd argue, of all of them, just because of how large it is. You're able to use Brushstalker to go and either get some more push before objective and get a nice nice early XP league, excuse me, or use him in order to force you get an aggressive invade. Ana will be first banned again by Regen Blue because we saw Wholesome Halfwits was very aggressive with their invades in game number 1.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see if they do stick with that. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. This is the Haka's map. I mean, you see Diablo coming back out, and again, yeah, Ana, Diablo, both superheroes makes sense. Just ban them regardless of the map. And yep, there is the Haka ban. Just get him out of here. We're not gonna first pick him. Then we just don't want to deal with him.
Yeah, and probably another tank ban here from Wholesome Halfwits. A Nubrak, yep. Being banned out, and I think they just kind of want to stick to what they did. It was a very dominating performance of them. Abathur will be picked up first, though, by Regen Blue. I really like that.
That was a very fast lock.
Yeah, I mean, Abathur is able to get a lot of global soak value, just both with his body and with his hats, and especially on a large map like Cursed Hollow, that's very valuable. But the Falstad's going to be the kind of the counter to that in order to try to provide some soak in lanes during objectives, and then being able to fly in to kind of negate some of that XP advantage.
Yep. I mean, yeah, if you go against an Abathur and you want to hold up, you gotta find a way to counter that XP. We do see Murid and Jaina come, but yeah, and Tyrande quite good on this map because she provides vision across the huge map that it is. We do see the Zeratul ban coming out. It'll be interesting to see what our final ban is here.
Yeah. So far, what's shaping up is also Halfwits has a nice early boss comp potential on this map. Having 2 bosses allows for a lot of potential. Tyrande able to scout out when your opponent is going for it, and Falstad's going to be able to steal it, assuming he goes Gus. So, well, if they kind of round out with a boss-taking hero, maybe like a Greyman, that could provide a nice macro advantage on the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
Yep. And with that Johanna ban coming out, that will send us to the Rexar coming back, and the Junkrat. Like you were saying, it was shaping up to be what looked like an early nice boss comp, but I mean, these are not heroes who can't take boss, but I'm not sure I would necessarily pick them if my comp was specifically centered around the boss.
Yeah, I'm surprised they ended up going with Rexar in the offlane again. I mean, he was able to do a ton of work, but the problem is Rexar's gonna have a long rotate, in which Abathur's gonna be able to get soak versus putting Falstad in there, where Falstad a lot faster global rotation to kind of negate some of the advantages of Abathur. UTC will be the last thing picked up here by Wholesome Halfwits to round out their comp. Meanwhile, Rhaegar Thrall on the side of Regen Blue. Which comp do you like this time, Jax?
It's kind of hard to say. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Regen Blue. I like the Abathur on Abathur, one of Abathur's best maps, if not his best map. The Rhaegar as the support and the Thrall as the offlaner means that you do have still that damage available, even though you've taken one player off the board by having that Abathur. And even though Wholesome Halfwits, I mean, there's definitely some stuff going on there. Like you said, having that Rexar when you already had the Falstad that really could have been a perfectly capable solo lane or zone right, and having that Rexar to rotate means you give up all that XP to the Abathur. And Junkrat, I mean, Junkrat's kind of in a weird spot in that he's really more of a kind of flexible, could offlane if he needed to type of thing, which is the same as Falstad. So it's kind of weird overlap of the heroes, and so I would say I like Regen Blue's comp.
Yeah, on the blue side for game number 2, fighting to keep this series going, we'll have Mongoose on the Murden, Krinovat on the Rhaegar, Jason on the Jaina, Larson on the Thrall, and Grendel on the Abathur.
And in red, Wholesome Halfwits looking to take this domination and secure their second seed in the playoffs. We got Crooked Smile on Falstad, Dr. Sigelli on ETC, Freckle Pants on Tyrande, G Money Drums on XR, and Neutrons on the Junkrat. Game number 2 on Cursed Hollow. Here we go.
Something interesting is Abathur actually picked, I believe that's Pressurized Glance.
Yeah, Pressurized Glance.
Yes, nice. But anyways, not the shield talent. Even though it ended up getting nerfed, that means that's going to be a lot of damage, assuming he ends up having Murd in a lot of these fights. That's going to be going out onto the back line here of Wholesome Halfwits in fights. Meanwhile, Dr. Sigelli taking a lot of damage here, as you're seeing from Mongoose, but able to slide away along with the heals from Freckle Pants to allow for him to get away. Falstad already in that top lane in order to try to counter the Abathur's body soak. Meanwhile, Rexar moving on down to the bot lane.
Yep, they're on Jaina being sent up to the top lane to deal with that Falstad. The way that the lane rotations are handled by both teams is really going to be probably the most interesting thing to watch in this game. I mean, it's always interesting to see when you have the Abathur. You see Mongoose looking for flank here. Likes the stun.
Oh, the Abathur damage just not enough though. It was a nice try in the top lane. So we do see Rexar now peeling off in order to take the siege camp. And meanwhile, ETC laning against Rhaegar, who unfortunately has to solo lane in this comp.
Yeah, you see Junkrat in the mid lane against the Abathur's body soak. Merlin rotating back down now after that attempt at a gank that almost took Falstad's life. And yeah, so I mean, you see that there's the Abathur, and so you have to figure out where to put him, and then on the other side with both Falstad and Junkrat that could kind of serve as, I mean, often you'll put those in the off lane away from the dedicated solo laner. Oh, watch out, Rhaegar.
Yeah, Krinovat's taking a lot of damage. Dr. Sigelli, though, took a lot of tower shots, so he'll be forced to back up here. But it will be Wholesome Halfwits that's going to be putting a lot of pressure on this back lane, especially because it's only Rhaegar who's going to be forced to try to clear the siege camp against 3 on the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
And you do see Larson on that Thrall picking up the Bruiser camp here, and we see a big push going out in that bot lane from Halfwits. But yeah, Rhaegar, or not Rhaegar, I mean Rhaegar is a somewhat capable solo laner. He kind of falls in that same camp as the Falstad and the Junkrat, where you can run them in the off lane, but you usually don't run them as your dedicated solo laner. You could put them in that third lane where it's just, oh, we need to soak XP and we're not 4-manning right now. But having to use one of them as your dedicated solo laner up top, like they are with Falstad right now. Speaking of Falstad, they're trying to gank him again. He will escape, but that was an even more dangerous attempt at his life this time. We'll have to pull back. But having to put them in the offlane, especially when you have a Rexar that is really a solo laner in his own right, just makes it a really bizarre situation for Wholesome Halfwits to have to handle in terms of lane management. Whereas from the side of Regen Blue, they just slap Abathur hats wherever they want and leave everybody else to go in where they want.
Yeah, Regen Blue actually got an early rotation as Wholesome Halfwits was forced to deal with that camping picked up by Regen Blue. But now here they come back in, looking for the re-engage. Mongoose taking quite a bit of damage early on in this fight. Dr. Sigelli got cut out on his rotation by the excuse me, not the Junkrat, by just the Brute from Larson. Mongoose forced to jump away as he was taking too much damage. And so it looks like it will be Wholesome Halfwits. Oh no, Mongoose is going to be able to get one more stall at least, as they're trying to focus down Misha here. Jason, though, is the one who's going to be in trouble, taking a lot of damage from Neutrons there. The hat healing, though, will not be enough in order to save him, and the first tribute will be taken here by Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, if you're Regen blue, the longer the tribute goes on, the better it is for you. You have that Abathur who's soaking while the tribute is in progress. They did a pretty good job. I mean, they were falling pretty low, so there wasn't a whole lot more they could do in terms of stalling that. It wasn't the best, but given the circumstances, it wasn't bad. Oh, and now Abathur's in trouble. Falstad flies right into the bush he was in, and he'll die. And Falstad will take a lot of damage for it, but he'll get out okay. And that's what you have to be careful of when you're playing Abathur.
Yeah, you want to get as much body soak as possible, but when you have Falstad around, you got to be a little bit careful. It's like playing against Medivh. You can kind of fast rotate and get a lot of burst damage onto you. So you got to just be very careful. So now they will be up a man on the side of Wholesome Halfwits here. Well, Abathur goes back top, but they will be late to rotate in as they were finishing up that camp in the mid lane. Junkrat could be able to easily poke out and stall out this projectile. Meanwhile, Mongo's taking a ton of damage along with Larson. Now Dr. Sajeli coming in from the backside, able to do last stuns, and Thrall will be the one to go down. They're looking for Mongoose potentially also, but Dr. Sajeli is now out of mana. Misha, though, able to go in, looking to see if they can get some damage onto Jaina. However, Misha herself is very low, so they'll be content to just take the second tribute and go back to lanes.
Alright, so let's talk about something that's very impressive. You look at the XP leaderboard, and it's about even. Wholesome Halfwits was very slightly ahead for just a second. It looks like Regen Blue will regain the very slight lead, but it's basically even in XP. There's an Abathur on the field, and there's 2 out of 3 tributes for Wholesome Halfwits. In my book, that means Wholesome Halfwits is winning right now. If you're on curse point with the other team not having taken one yet, you're keeping even in XP with an Abathur on the other side. That sounds pretty good to me. And now both teams are going to go ahead and tray out the boss. I think they should be finished around the same time. But it does put Wholesome Halfwits in a better position for this tribute, as they're taking the boss that's right next to it. Well, Regen Blue's on the other side of the map. I don't actually know if they'll be able to contest in time on this tribute, which might just give the curse right over to Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, as Dr. Sajeli's just going to try to zone out the Mongoose, who's going to be the one who's forced to try to interrupt, but no, they kind of know that they're already too late. So boss in bot lane will be able to alleviate pressure in that lane, but this boss in the top lane is going to get a huge amount of push here, and as this fort wall is easily going to go down, as well as the fort itself, and Regen Blue's going to be hard pressed in order just to try to potentially protect their keep on this first curse.
Oh, Falstad had to use Gust in the bot lane in order to not die to the Thrall. The minion wave is incredibly weak from Regen Blue since they're cursed, which makes clearing the boss easier, but Thrall is hard out damaging Falstad right now, and so Larson might be able to secure the bot keep? Probably not, but still a pretty good counter push considering that they were cursed. But the boss from Wholesome Halfwits is now marching on keep. Even though Thrall was able to get that bottom fort as a counter push, it's not going to be anywhere near the amount of value the Wholesome Halfwits will pick up with this curse, especially because it means Thrall was not on the defense against this boss, even though he did keep Falstad busy in the bot lane. It'll be interesting to see if Wholesome Halfwits go in and try to take the keep here. The curse will be ending, so probably not, but they will get some damage onto the keep at least.
Yeah, and Rexar was able to confirm that mid fort too. But this, as you noted, boss already very low, and Mongoose with that hat, very scary. But Falstad is going to fly in. I think they might go for it here. A nice slide onto Mongoose. He might be in trouble along with the Misha stun. And along with the nice stun there. But Rhaegar will be able to get the Ancestral healing off. Now it's G-Money who has to be a little bit careful. Jason dealing a ton of damage to the frontliners as the clone ended up being used there. So that will force for Wholesome Halfwits to back up, but not before they get half of this top keep.
Yep, pretty big value there from Wholesome Halfwits for the push off that first curse. Getting 2 forts, half of the third, and keep. And they have about a full level lead and experience now, despite not being the team that has the Abathur. And so that's a really strong position to be in. And it looks like Dr. Sajeli And Crooked Smile now looking to possibly catch him on a flank. They're going to get a little impatient and just step up because it looked like the flank wasn't going to end up working. Not going to get that bush gank there. And so they may actually look to steal his bruiser camp. Looks like they will. And Rexar in the bot lane trying to get some push out, but will now just group up at the camp. And the Mule is doing work on that bot fort, so Regen Blue will be able to heal that up a little closer to full. But it does not change the fact that they have already lost 2 forts, and their top keep is in danger, is going to need that Mule really soon.
Yep, as this bruiser camp is going to be coming in here, they're going to look to try to confirm this mid-keep wall as well. One tower already going to go down, second one very low as well. Although they can't really put too much push, although they have 13 advantage, they have to be very careful as they are very deep. Instead, they're just going to back up Rexar in order to take their own bruiser camp and then put a ton of pressure with the remaining members onto this bot fort in order to try to confirm it and make sure Abathur can't heal it back up with Mule.
Yeah, it looks like they should be able to do just that with both the Junkrat and the Tyrande firing upon it. It'll be a little close, but no, they'll actually, Junkrat will just back off. They're gonna go ahead and fight for the tribute and let the fort wait. So they're gonna group up this tribute.
Dr. Sujali was looking for the dance there, or the mosh pit, but smartly enough, Regen Blue kind of recognized that and decided to rotate around so they won't get caught by it. But this next tribute's going to be spawning. Both teams have back down to 0, but Regen Blue kind of needs to start getting a 1 here in order to put some map pressure of their own. Here goes Mongoose, forced to pop Avatar, but not able to get the interrupt on Neutrons. Now, he might be in a little bit of trouble, even with the Avatar. Dr. Sigelio taking a ton of damage from Jason and Grendel, both on those Janas. Here comes Riptire, gonna end up blowing up Larson and Jason there, able to get 2. Now Krinavast also in trouble with the stun from Misha, along with the damage from Falstad, gonna be able to confirm him. Now Mongoose himself needs to be careful, even with the Abathur hat. Here comes the stun from the Tyrande. Now Neutron's able to, with the Ripper Air, get a ton of mobility. As Mongoose gonna be able to get the kill on the ETC, but he himself will also go down there. So now Wholesome Halfwits can look to potentially get some push, maybe in this mid lane, or they're just gonna go straight to tribute it looks like.
Yeah, Dr. Sigelli giving up his life in order to make sure they could find that kill onto the Muradin. Looks like actually Wholesome Halfwit's gonna turn around, go ahead and take the boss here. It's a little bit of an aggressive call, but it looks like it'll work out for him because Regen Blue doesn't necessarily know they're there. Regen Blue now rotating 2 boss actually because Wholesome Halfwits didn't show, but they won't get there in time, so the boss will be stolen away by Wholesome Halfwits. Falstad falling very low, he should be able to get out, although he and Tyrande are both in a little bit of danger. That gust should get them out of the woods. So now they pick up that bot boss to go along with the bot camp that is currently pushing, and Junkrat already at the tribute now able to pick up. We'll put him back onto Curse Point with the 16 advantage and a huge advantage in terms of structures.
And now Wholesome Halfwits will turn to take their own boss in order to try to put some pressure on this top keep yet again. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, this bot boss is almost dead, but I don't think Regen Blue's going to be able to rotate fast enough in order to contest this boss. And even when they do, Dr. Sigelli does still have Mosh up. I don't believe he's even used it yet, so he will be able to get some nice zoning onto this boss point. Won't even need it, as they will just straight up take this.
Yeah, looks like Regen Blue just gonna try to take this. Well, they were trying to take that siege camp in order to get a quick clear, and but they will try to find Dr. Sigelli here.
Yeah, a lot of CC going on him, and along with the Sundering, we'll be able to confirm him. Here comes the clone in too, I believe, on Thrall. Larson taking a ton of damage, forces Ancestral will be popped onto him. Now Mongoose looking to get some damage on the back. A nice stun there by G-Money. Now Mongoose is forced to pop Avatar. Here comes the stun from Tyrande as well. A lot of CC here on the side, as Mongoose will end up going down, so it will be a trade with the boss pushing down this top keep.
No, Grendel have they're using the clone on Jaina to try to get some extra clear, but burned down immediately. Larson's in trouble on the Thrall here.
Again, the CC is just too much on the side of Regen Blue, but he will barely be. A nice ice block there by Jason will save him from the tire, but they are looking for Core here with the half-health boss. They're still down the Murd, and ETC, though, will not be able to rotate in time, so it will be a 4v4 fight. Jason looking to get some damage onto Crook. It's about, ends up getting gusted away, so now gets stunned and blown up. G-Money, though, looking very low. Larson trying to get the kill on him. Will end up going down. Now Crooked Smile goes down to the keep in the mid lane. Boss, though, will be able to confirm confirm the core, as that will be game 2 and the series going to the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
Yep, so that will secure them their second place seed in the playoffs. 9-4, your final kill numbers on that last game. And so a well-played series by both sides, but especially so by Wholesome Halfwits picking up that win to make sure they stay strong at that second seed going into the playoffs. And so for Regen Blue, they will end the season at 12 points, as that was, I believe, their last game. Yeah, that would have been their last game. And so they actually, regardless of Arrogant Nephilim's results, will be locked into 8th. Arrogant Nephilim already has the 12 points for the tie and has the tiebreaker of head-to-head. So Regen Blue will be locked into 8th place and will play Virtual Murky Slayers in the first round of the tournament. Wholesome Halfwits will be in 2nd, and if Arrogant Nephilim does not win their last match, Arrogant Nephilim has 2 matches in order to get 5 points to move into 6th. If they do not do so, they will stay in 7th. If they stay in 7th, they will be Wholesome Halfwits opponents. If they move to 6th, then Soak Every Lane will be Wholesome Halfwits opponents. So it'll be interesting to see how these final few matches before the playoffs play out, and maybe we could possibly get some insight from one of the members. We'll ask around and see who we can find.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job, as you noted, early game, not falling behind actually in XP against an Abathur comp, and then they were able to get a couple of kills in order to get that first curse, and from there, along with their boss, able to push down, put a lot of pressure on top lane, almost get basically half of the top keep just with the first curse, along with the mid fort as well, and then just with that passive XP, know that they can keep up with and just kind of zone out the comp of Regen Blue there. So really good job by...
Howdy.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
By us?
You can finish that sentence. Really
Yeah.
good job by who?
Yeah.
By Wholesome Halfwits. How are you guys
Well, thank
feeling?
you.
Yeah, congrats, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we're feeling pretty good. We've been playing very well these last couple of games. We had a doubleheader last night, one in Heroes Lounge and one in NGS. And we beat Nobu Esprouts last night in Heroes Lounge. That was pretty
Which
fun.
is Div A's #1 team right now.
So I think we're just on a hot streak.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
good time to be on a hot streak, as the playoffs are right around the corner. And I believe that tonight's win will, well, okay, I don't believe, I can do the math. That tonight's win will lock you into the 2nd seed in your division behind Virtual Murky Slayers, which means you will likely play Arrogant Nephilim or possibly Soak Every Lane in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better than us being 8th in our division, like through the first third of the season.
Yeah. We always work our way up. It's I think it gives you a nice arc for the season, so you're always going your hottest at the end, you know?
You know, if it works, it works, and it looked like it was working tonight. So let's talk about some of the stuff that went on in tonight's game. Game number 1, Infernal Shrines, and you guys picked Rexar. And I mean, Rexar it's finally been long enough since the buffs that it doesn't just feel completely weird and cheesy to see a Rexar in your game anymore. Wouldn't you agree? But
I've had to come to terms with drafting him. It's insane. He does a lot of damage, which is spooky. Like he's now an auto attacker with a bear that he can stun people.
Yeah, and it worked well enough that you drafted in both games. But yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of scary to see that bear charging at you, especially when you know how much damage is behind it. Uh, one thing I just want to talk about right off the bat because I feel like it needs addressing. We saw the Dragon Strike get picked up, and I just want to know why.
You know, you gotta have fun. That's just that's just I refuse to play Dragon Arrow. Just hard refuse. Like I don't know. I just thought we had enough CC already in our team comp, and I just felt like and Dragon Arrow just controls that point so well. Like it either shoves them all off or they have to fight in it. So
Well, I
both
think
things are kind of caused a little panic.
I mean, I think you picked up 1 or 2 kills with it at least. I mean, I saw at least one that set up a kill and one that confirmed a kill, if nothing else. So you got value out of it. But when you see something like that, I just feel like it's gonna be one of the things on people's minds. So I gotta get it out there.
Oh, definitely. I've been trying to tell him just pick the other one, but he won't. So
I play meta enough by not going Redemption. I feel like I should be able to go Dragon Strike. So
you're earning your meta points by going not going redemption, so that you can spend the meta points over on your ult. Makes sense. Oh well, I mean that game went quite well for you guys. I mean, you were winning those protectors and getting good push. I mean, you picked Infernal Shrines, so I've got to imagine that you guys like it. And I mean, what was your game plan going into the Infernal Shrines map? What did you want to do with it?
actually, going into Infernal Shrines, we really wanted that Ana pick, but it got banned. So we have our second, which is just kind of getting all of the stuns we can on our front line and making sure we have damage to back it up. Because the poke damage on all of our CC was just too much for them to deal with. They just wither.
Yeah, I mean, I think hit a bunch of stuns and then do a bunch of damage afterward is a pretty strong winning strategy.
Yeah, it's the name of the game.
All right, and so let's talk a little bit about Cursed Hollow in game number 2. We unsurprisingly saw them go with the Dahaka ban in the first wave after they had banned it in the second wave because very strong pick on the map. And then they first picked the Abathur. Were you guys expecting it, or did it catch you by surprise?
I wasn't expecting it. I'm sure other people on my team were. We probably could have banned it, but I think we banned Anubarak Diablo, right? 1-2.
Yeah, Anubrak Diablo 1-2.
Yeah, I just think you get too much control out of that front line, either of those front lines, to give them up first pick. So that was my thinking behind that. The Abathur certainly could have been banned, but I think we had enough global pressure because we knew we were going to take that Falstad anyway. So I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah. All right. So I've got a couple questions. And so first of all, you drafted Falstad. And so we saw Falstad come out early in the 1-2. And we're thinking, oh, okay, you've got the global offlaner to offset some of that Abathur soak pressure. And then you didn't run the Falstad as the offlaner. You picked up the Rexar and you also picked up the Junkrat. And so you've got Falstad and Junkrat, who both are serviceable in the offlane. And then you have Rexar, who is just actually an offlaner in his own right. And I'm starting to look at this team and I'm like, all right, you're gonna have 3 people in the solo lanes and have ETC and Tyrande play in the jungle, or I mean, it's just it was an interesting comp, and I'm not trying to attack you because it worked, but I just want to hear why you picked it.
We were feeling hot in the Rexar. That's why we wanted that, and he just wins all of that. Also, all of those heroes also camp well, which is super important on that map. And so we just got a bunch of camps and pushed our advantage as much as we could at all the times that we could. I think we just call that map really well, and we know exactly where to go to get as much out of it as we can. I think we could have rotated more the Tyrande and myself and gotten more kills. But I think I get stuck in the siege mentality a little too much sometimes. But it works out.
Well, did seem like it worked out. I've got another question about your draft a little bit. So you picked up the ETC, and so I was wondering for a second if you were gonna go with the global theme and pick up stage dive. You didn't. You picked up the mosh pit, and I want to ask, how many times did you hit the R button during that game?
I don't think I did.
Okay, because I was gonna say I was trying to count the mosh pits, and I'm pretty sure I counted 0.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have gotten any more value out of stage dive as either, because I would have been split away from the people I want to see. It's the specter of mosh pit is scary without being pressed. It certainly pushed them off, and we didn't really need it. We were getting like people were just dying before I could mosh them. I also died in that bush at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I should have moshed there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's not. It's just if it wasn't the time for it, it wasn't the time for it. But it was kind of funny. It's like, there is always that play, right? If you never use mosh pit, then it's never on cooldown, so they always have to be worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
His ego's too large to just do a one-man mosh. Let's be fair. He will not. He just won't.
I want those big mosh.
Hey, I get it. I've played some ETC, and it's like, if you don't see like 3 people in the mosh, it's like, is it even worth hitting the mosh?
No.
I mean,
Unless you're like down a talent and like you're fighting back, then a one-man mosh is worth it. Or like super late game at past 16, solo mosh is worth it.
yeah, well, luckily for you guys, you were not down at any point in that game, and you ended it right about at 16. You need to do that. You guys were trying to speed up our schedule. We were running a double header today. We got to watched a real long series for our first one, and then you guys said, you guys deserved a break. You tried to make it short for us.
I called the 12-minute match in the draft. Cursed Hall is just super confident for us, and I like to run it down.
Well, worked out for you. I'm going to pass it over to Dead and see what questions he's got for you.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. So first of all, going back to game number 1, early game, you guys were able to really dominate the camps in the bot and mid lane. What do you think was the key to being able to capture all 3 of those in the first 2 minutes?
We got to ours very early, I think, and that allowed me to step forward and zone them off of theirs, and then we got them stuck in that choke and just got a bunch of damage on. And got some early kills.
They just didn't. None of their heroes wanted to contest on the actual point. Like Sylvanas and Lenara did not want to be that close to us, having while being poked by Hanzo and Raynor and Tyrande stuns. So yeah, they weren't on it as fast as we were, and then they just got stuck in that choke, and they just had to leave pretty much.
And then moving on to the first shrine phase, you guys were able to be winning the shrine despite not having Rexar there. What do you think was key to you guys being able to kind of space them out, even being down an entire hero?
I think we just had we have good control of like the of that fight on that, and we were in good position. I don't really remember it, to be honest. I almost died in one of them.
I don't even recall Rexar not being there.
Sometimes we just do things because we don't know we can't do them.
That first one, pretty sure it's the first objective. They dove super hard for me and almost got me if it wasn't for Freckle. And I think they just blew a lot trying to pick me off there. And since they weren't able to pick off, they were just in our territory, and we were able to just reset up and repoke.
We do have a god healer.
Yeah, definitely. Tyrande and especially Freckle were able to get that key mark onto you, get that auto attack healing. Kind of showed to the people who I play Storm League with that Tyrande can solo support. And then you guys were kind of really able to snowball that along with your camp control into the game number 1 win. And then in game number 2, what do you think was key to you guys being able to win all of the curses on game number 2? Or all the tributes, sorry.
I think it was mainly our positioning. We got to those objectives fairly early. I was making sure to zone a lot. On the first one, we got them into another choke again and got a bunch of damage on them, and we were able to zone them away long enough to grab it. And I think from there we just snowballed our XP lead, and it was tough for them to come in and contest a lot of them.
Speaking of your XP league, against an Abathur comp, what do you think is the key in order to try to either even up or even take an XP league or lead early on in a match?
You just have to. I mean, we had the macro, we had the rotations, because we were able to make sure Rex starts solo, and then Falstad can just catch everything. And then you just have to make sure that your 5-man is just more dominantly stronger than their 4-man, because pre-10, the Abathur 4-man comp has to be super strong. And with Misha just being able to sit on top of Jaina, she couldn't really get in to provide anything. And we weren't that afraid of just a Muradin hat and Thrall. So I think our 5-man was just more strong early than their 4-man, because without that extra body, you have to make sure that your 4-man's strong enough.
And then my last question is, any shoutouts you guys have going into the playoffs?
Shout out to the team for showing up. Shout out to you guys for casting. It's a lot of fun. Can't wait to watch the stream back. Shout outs to... I don't got anything else. I don't have friends. Go ahead, Bob.
Shout out to Blizzard Activision for keeping this game alive. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know.
Well, great. Thanks, guys, so much for letting us cast your game, and good luck in playoffs with that 2 seed.
Yeah. Should be a fun time.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well, with that will conclude today, Jax. 2 pretty exciting games. One exciting to see how close it was, and then the second one kind of an interesting strategies, I'd say.
Yeah, they were both fun in their own ways, and I was glad we got to do this doubleheader and see some more good hots. And I believe we will be back tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, with at least one more cast before this season heads into the playoffs.
Sorry, everyone coming from the NGS main channel, but we are just concluding this cast here. As it was Regen Blue
and Regen Blue just getting taken down by Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, pretty dominant performance there by Wholesome Halfwits to take that number 2 seed into the playoffs. As it becomes a little bit more clear in Div B West, just a couple more games to be played. I think it's the numbers 6 and 7 seeds, Jax, that still are yet to be determined. But overall, pretty set in stone and exciting for the playoffs in Div B West.
Yep, there's just a little bit left to be decided down in the middle of the pack, but things are shaping up for a really exciting playoffs in Div B West. I'll be excited to see what Wholesome Halfwits can do, and they said they've got momentum here late in the season, and they looked pretty good there, so it'll be interesting to see if they could maybe run the gauntlet and dethrone virtual Murky Slayers, who we've heard in the past are a quite good team, and some teams seem like they're scared of them, so Wholesome Halfwits might give them a run for their money.
Yeah, definitely, and make sure to stay tuned into this next upcoming week playoffs on all of the Nexus Gaming series channels, as we look to catch all of the playoff action. Should be very exciting. See a couple upsets across all the divs, and see who will come out on top between East and West. With that, Jax, you want to bring us out for tonight?
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to follow the channel, subscribe to Dead Latin on YouTube, and as always, we will see you in the Nexus.